companies are saying by the year 2020 we're going to need 25% more cocoa. Which is the raw ingredient in chocolate. And you can't, it's not like flipping a switch. It's not like corn. You throw a bunch of seeds down and you could increase production. These trees take 4 or 5 years to start bearing any fruit. It comes in a pod and those seeds are roasted and ground into chocolate. And that's not a long time, that's 8 years.
So there's a great story on C1 of the paper, by the way, this guy who's searching through the Amazon for the ideal tree, right? There's a race to find the kind of killer tree that can bring us more chocolate.
I think I've just discovered Greece's solution to its debt problems. If they can start planting cocoa trees in Greece right now by 2020, when they're supposed to get their GDP,
like you're thinking, Mr.
debt
Shipman,
down to GDP level.
Bring it all together.
It's as likely as all of us winning the lottery.
Is there something about, we keep hearing about West Africa is the big cocoa place.
Yeah.
Is there something about Greece that it precludes it from?
It has to be grown in the tropics. That's the only problem. It's 20 degrees north and south of the equator, so there are very few places to grow it. And if you look at the band on a globe, on a map, where that is, it's mostly water.
Right.
So tropical forest is hard to come by, and it's frowned upon to deforest and plow down tons of Amazon rainforest or any other kind of tropical forest, unless it's for another crop that could be used as a food or fuel, like corn or sugar.
But the good news, of course, from investors' point of view, if you're long cocoa futures, is you've got to see some gains going forward for the next 10 years. Go way long, yeah. But we also have some news from the USDA today on planting projections, right, for various other crops.
Now we're in spring, and the farmers, this is the USDA, it's a very closely watched report. It's called Prospective Plantings, and it's a survey of farmers, what they intend to put in the ground this spring. And corn acreage is actually going to rise. We're going to have the largest corn acreage since 1937. That could bring consumer prices down, but the problem is we have low stockpiles of corn. China's demand, of course, rising for corn and just about everything, including cocoa. And that could kind of keep a lid on any gains, but acreage is expanding. Cotton acreage is falling. It's the big rise we saw in cotton prices last year. Cotton prices are down 50% from last year, so farmers are looking at corn and soy and better ways to make money.
Because of the acreage that's getting devoted to corn, is there something that's going to get squeezed out there? Are we going to see prices maybe go up on something?
For cotton, it could.
Yeah.
Cotton acreage is down about 12%. So cotton prices can rise again.
Are they still having problems in Texas too with dry weather?
Yeah, very bad drought, and Texas is the #1 producer of cotton in the United States, followed by Georgia, which is also in the middle of a bad drought, so we could see some problems there. However, weather is much better than last year. We had those big floods last spring, you remember, and that'll help corn and cotton production in some areas. Others not so much.
So, T-shirts going up in price and corn syrup going down. Is that the upside of all this?
Yeah, pretty much. So sugar and no chocolate.
Sugar, exactly. We just gorge ourselves on sugar.
It was interesting too. Was it a year ago or a little more than a year ago? Cotton was at post-Civil War highs, and everyone thought there was going to be.
Well, that's why they planted so much of it, and then prices came back down. So we have really good supply this year. But
is China still stockpiling a lot?
They
of
are.
cotton
That program
too?
is actually supposed to end today.
Okay.
So it depends. I mean, if prices go low enough, they'll just buy a whole bunch, keep it in a warehouse, and in case there's a problem.
What does this mean for gasoline prices and the ethanol aspect of that?
Well, it depends how much corn we churn out. It depends how much actually comes out of the ground. If we have a lot more corn,
so acreage is just one part of the equation. We need to see what
that's one part of the equation. Yeah. It depends what actually comes out in the fall.
Okay.
But yeah, if we increase corn acreage, I mean, you'd expect, but again, our stockpiles are very low. So if we're starting the year with low stocks, then that could kind of keep a lid on any gains.
So you mentioned too that this was in terms of the corn acreage, this was going to be the highest since 1937. Is that number kind of jumps out and you go, wow, why, how come we haven't had, we have more people to feed, how come?
Well, we have a lot more, we're exporting a lot more. China's been buying a lot of U.S. corn, and it's, almost record levels. So we have a lot more people to feed, the world's growing, and that goes for all commodities. And even though there's more of these commodities being planted every year, we're starting in a very low stockpile environment. The same goes for coffee, it goes for cocoa, it goes for sugar.